So, Donners, you are a character of the sport, are you not?
Have we started?
Yeah.
Check 1, 2.
Is
I
this
always wanted to do it. It's me.
It is
In
you.
case you didn't recognise me.
That is classic. Every time I say that, I crack up. That's just your thing now, isn't it?
It's just something we do. I don't know. I don't even know where I came up with it. It was just something that started, kicked it off. I have a heap of fun with it. I hope everyone else does because it's just, I don't know. I look forward to doing it and try and come up with something different every time, just to have a laugh, you know.
Yeah, I think people are loving it when you see the amount of laughing reactions to the videos. I'm definitely assuming people like it.
Don't get me wrong. Sometimes it's hard to do one after you've had a bad weekend.
Yeah,
That's probably the hardest to try and pick yourself up a little bit to come up with something funny. But I don't know. Once again, we were just chatting before about moving on from your last race, and sometimes that helps. Moving on. You just go, oh well, that's done. Move on to the next one.
Yeah, because you're very honest about everything. You don't, you do put them up regardless of your results. So you're not sort of shying away from anything either. So it's bit of fun, bit of honesty. It's
Definitely
you're showing it for what it is.
Yeah.
So.
And look, I want to win just as much as anyone else, but if you don't, you've got to find a positive out of your racing, out of your life, and I think if I could find a positive and just have a bit of fun with it, just go with it. I don't know.
So the classic just going by, there's probably more people at your truck than anyone else. Is that pretty standard for you, or is that?
It's getting that way. That's got a lot to do with Renee as well. She's created this pig brand, and we love it. It's come from a true story though. There's no gimmick about it. It's come from my dad calling everything a pig when we were younger. So there's a true story behind it. And it's just evolved, and Renee's created this brand, and we just have so much fun at the racetrack. Renee says to me, geez, what if you won a sprint car race? Then we'll be, it'd be really packed, it's just good fun. We just love it, interacting with other people. We people like yourself, we come and have a chat and just, sometimes it's hard. Like I said, you might have a really crappy night, but man, when a little kid comes up to you or someone comes up to you and just wants something signed, or you buy a hat, or it just makes your day. You just go, you know what, that's cool. It's not only about you or your crew, it's the fans as well that come out and want to watch you, compete. Not so much win, so that their passion's as strong as ours.
Yeah. Do you think it's one of the greatest things about Speedway that people do have the opportunity to come see you after a race, regardless of the result?
Definitely. It's amazing that, what other sport do you get? Where someone like yourself or a little kid can come and stand next to some of the greats of the world, let alone just someone that's just had a crack for the night, but and have a laugh, and I think also too for people that have seen you grow, so they've seen you come from junior level or whatever, and you've moved up through the ranks, and you might be racing something prestigious, or just they've known you from some other area and they can come and have a chat. How awesome is that?
Yeah.
Get a sticker and say good day. Yeah.
I think when that really I've ran up and down the pits many a night and just chatted to whoever, whatever. Just half the reason why I'm doing this anyway. But it really sank in for me that we're so lucky in that regard. Seeing Brock Hallett after the Classic, standing at the back of his hauler, just chatting to the fans, exactly the same way he was doing it 10 years earlier at Speedway City when he was in the 500. I was like, and it probably helps that he hasn't changed himself, but it's man, he's still doing it.
Yeah.
It was just him being him. It wasn't hidden away, didn't get ushered away V8 supercars or whatever. It was just still standing at the back of the hauler, chatting away. And I was like, man, how lucky are we to do it?
And that photo with the Gillen boys too, that was pretty cool too, pretty special, I reckon, for them. But just for him to take the time and think about that as well in that moment was really cool. And that's just, I reckon it's Speedway in general, most Speedway people are just good people, and we've got genuine morals and hearts, and he definitely does. He's one of them guys that just awesome, very approachable. You can ask him set up stuff and he'll tell you. You know, he's a superstar, and he wants other people to go good as well. And he's a genuine knacker. You know, you can have a conversation with him, and he's a ripper.
I'd say that probably 99% of the guys up and down the pits are like that though. From like street stocks all the way to sprint cars, there's not too many guys that you can't approach really.
Yeah.
Like they all have a chat with you, or you know, if definitely like some of the lower classes, you could easily walk up to them and be like, "Hey mate, how do I get into one of these?" And they'll stand there all night telling you.
Yeah.
Like there's no one that's gonna be like, "Oh no, go work it out for yourself, mate."
Yeah.
Like, yeah, and then trying to get that through to people who are like not speedway people to see how they can get that close and involved into it. It's kind of unexplainable in some regard.
It is unexplainable, yeah. And it's just a different. We're just that type of people. I mean, not only Aussies. You know, that's how we roll. We're sort of friendly people, and we have a beer and we have a yak, and you know, when it's serious, it's serious. But afterwards, you know, we can kick back a little bit and just chill. You know, like what we are now. That's what I love about this sport. It can be a little bit individual, but at the same time, you know, the family's huge. You know. If someone gets hurt, you know, or someone crashes, everyone's around helping and trying to lend parts, and you know, that's what's awesome about it. You know, it gives you goosebumps. I love it.
Yeah. So you started junior sedans?
Yeah.
Yeah. Nothing raced before that. You didn't start go karts or anything like that.
No. I was terribly lucky. I still consider myself very lucky to be doing what I'm doing, but my old man bought me my first speedway car when I was 15. The deal was that in our family, we were allowed to have our first car bought for us by my mum and dad when we were 18. So road car, you know. Well, when I was 15, my eldest sister, she turned 18 and she got her first road car. I'm thinking, how can I get a speedway car out of this, you know? So I said to my dad, hey, how about you buy me a speedway car and we won't worry about the road car when I'm 18? And he goes, you sure? I'm like, yeah. So that's how it started. We got a junior sedan and raced juniors, and then went into street stocks. Yeah, and just and like thinking back now of those days, you know, like I'm still friends with heaps of those people that I grew up with when I was 13, 14, 15. In street stocks and juniors, you know, I love that. It's cool.
Yeah. So, and you still got that car today?
I've still got that car. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so, that is the pig.
That is the pig. Yep. So, it's gone around the traps a little bit. It got sold, and then I was lucky enough to pick it up. I was 30 at the time, so I sold it when I was about 18, and when I was 30, I was at a party, and this dude just started talking about old times and racing, and he goes, I know where that Cortina is. I went, what? The pig? The old pig? Yeah. Anyway, this guy gave it to me, and we got it back. Me and my dad got it back and resurrected it and turned it into the pig.
Yeah, right. And what is it now? It's a sporty?
Sports sedan.
Yeah.
They call it sports sedan.
So for people that don't understand what that class is, can you sort of
elaborate
on
on it's
that?
a Victorian class. It's very much like a modified production. So, you're allowed to have 8-inch wheels with racing rubber, and you're allowed to have adjustable suspension, lock diff. You're allowed to have, I guess the really cool thing about it is you're allowed to have pretty much any engine you want. So in this case, a bit of a long story, but we've got an hour, yeah? So that Cortina, when we got it back and we resurrected it, it just so happened that we had a 308 under my bench, like just sitting there waiting for a rainy day that we had in another car back in the day. And we decided to keep it because it was just such a sentimental engine. We won a lot of races with it, and my dad spent a lot of time on the motor. And when we finished racing when I was younger, he just tucked it away, and we sold all our race cars, but we kept the engine. So when we resurrected this Cortina, we're literally just standing in the shed, just having a couple of beers and just talking about, what motor we're going to put in. And just as a bit of a laugh, I can't remember if it was Dad or I, we pointed to the 308 that was under the bench in the corner and said, how about we put that in the Cortina, And after about 10 more beers and a few grinding discs, we had the 308 mounted in this Cortina. It didn't look real good, but it was in there, and that's where it started. We just got it going from there.
Yeah, right. Is that still in there today?
It's still in there, man.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's getting on a bit now. So we've been developing that for probably 10 years or so. But wow, we've had so much fun. It's a really fun class to be in. It's sort of like a little bit more relaxed than the modified production sort of stuff. But like I said, Victorian based, but it's full of awesome blokes and girls and teams and families. And it's just a great scene to be around. But they do a lot of endurance races as well, so like a 3-hour endurance race, the 100 lapper that's just gone, the 55 lapper in the Gambie. So it takes me back to some grassroots racing where I started racing. Some outback tracks, but they're just, once again, ran by some awesome people, awesome speedway family. And you go there and have a heap of fun, and it's a really cool series to be in, yeah.
Yeah. So you really like the endurance stuff, don't you?
I do. It's something about it. I just, you can have the best car in the world, but if it won't last, or if you won't look after it and make it last, you're not going to go any good, And I don't know. I think we found our little niche. I like the challenge, let alone having a good car. But my dad's been really good with putting together a reliable car, so we've always gone pretty well in them. The 100 lapper is a race that I really, really want to win. We've had 10 goes at it, and it's really starting to get to me, but we've been close, we've led it plenty of times, and we've started up the front row, and something's always happened, but I guess that's why I keep going back. I just love them endurance races, and they're just a cool event.
Yeah, so that's a high thing on your list to tick off.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Is that the highest?
At the moment, it is. Yeah. At this time of the season, it is. It changes as we go along, but I'd love to win an Australian title in some national division. But at the moment, that's. I guess some people wouldn't understand. If you haven't been in it before, you probably wouldn't understand. But it's just one of them races. It's a really cool weekend. It's a really prestigious event in my eyes because I've watched it grow since I was 14, and ever since then I've watched plenty of people win it. I've been jealous of a lot of people that have won it because I know that I can beat them. So, it's just one of them races that gets you, so yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of like that thing of like Larson saying that he won the Chili Bowl was better than like Daytona and Indy and stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah, that's the kind
What
of
is in your head?
That's right. So, if that's like the thing for you, then that's what it is. No one can take that away from you.
Every race has got their own dream, and they're definitely mine. Yeah,
it's like that meme of the guy who's got third place. You seen that? If that's what it is, that's what it is. So, yeah. So, is the Cortina like full outright power? Is it like, you sort of keeping it back a little bit to last those kinds of laps?
Definitely, definitely. Reliability is a big thing. And when you're choosing the parts you want to put in, you want to make sure that it's pretty reliable. And we've got some good backing along that. Smooth suspension. He gives us a great package for the suspension. My dad and Ian build a banger engine. It's got heaps of grunt, but it's also reliable at the same time. And we just try and choose the right things along the way. But yeah.
Yeah, they're pretty reliable, the old 308. It's hard to make power from them, but it's like, yeah.
Man, we have so much fun in that thing. Like, it's nothing special, but it's so much fun. It's a good thing, yeah. And look, I mean, the sentimental value as well is when I get it every time, I just have a smile on my face. Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously got a lot of history with it and stuff. So you go to Texas for a 600 lap race as well.
Yeah.
So you are very keen on the endurance stuff.
That is just on another level. That's probably my second one down that I want to win. I really want to win that one. To win one of them is just unbelievable. It takes a lot of patience when you're on the track. It's still skill involved. You can't hold right back. It's one of them races that you still got to go, because otherwise you're going to get swallowed up.
Yeah.
So you still got to go from the start. Been so lucky to be able to go over there and do that with Renee, and being invited by Wally Beatty and his family to race that car, and met some great people over there. It's that family over there is the same as ours.
Yeah.
They've got the same passion. You know, there's podcast guys like yourself that just love it, and they're interviewing people because that's their little passion, and we're drivers and we like to drive, and then there's car owners, and it's just a great adventure.
So what are the rules on the 600? Because there's like all sorts of cars racing, isn't there?
Yeah. They're pretty smart about how they level it out because, well, a couple that come to mind is the weight rule. So your car must weigh 2,800 pounds or heavier. So that sort of...
What's that in a real weight scale?
Pretty heavy. So, I don't know, 1,260 kilos or something, right? So pretty heavy sort of car. So I think the Pig actually weighs about 1,160 or near on 1,200. So there you go. So it's close. But when we got there last year, we had to add a lot of lead to the car to get weight. But they're pretty strict on that.
So you took the Pig over?
No, on Wally's car.
Right.
Wally's car. That's where it all started. We were initially going to do that, but that's another probably 1 hour episode you're going to need. But a great story, but like so a 20 pound of pressure in your tyres, and they do check that before you start. So just a couple of little quirky rules like that. Yeah,
that's a lot.
You're not allowed to have two-way communication. You can have one-way communication. So when I raced last year, we had a spotter, which was different. Never had a spotter before in a car. So in one ear you got race control, and the other ear you got your spotter. But he can only talk to you one way.
Yep. Yeah, right. Interesting. Yeah, because I think it does happen a bit for late models. Like some of the big, like the long, 100 lappers and stuff, they have a spotter and stuff like that. And Silver Crowns have spotter and stuff like that. So yeah, but that would be something totally different for you, wouldn't it? Like,
yeah, it was good though. I learned a lot from it. Wally was really good. He would tell me to slow down often because I'd be going too fast. Sometimes I didn't understand what that meant.
Yeah, as a racer, you're like, what?
I'm just trying. I'm just trying to hammer down. But he would explain to me that I was catching the pack too quick, the next pack too quick. So he was trying to slow me down a little bit to let the pack spread out. So when I did get to it, I could weave through them. I wasn't stuck. So there was little things like that I learnt, which were pretty interesting. But I did see on the Million race at Eldora yesterday that they gave everyone new transponders at the start. One-way communicators at the start of the race. So there must have been something shifty going on there.
Yeah, there's... I don't know. Don't know if I want to dive too deep into it, but apparently there's the new one that's out. Everyone runs the yellow ones. There's that new one out. Like, it's a really big grey box.
Oh, yeah.
Apparently there's something in that guys are doing.
I need to find out what it is.
They're doing dual channels in it or something. That's what I've seen on Facebook. So it's obviously true. Yeah. So it must be because it was on Facebook. So it's 100% true. Yeah. So I don't know, but that's an interesting.
Didn't affect Logan.
It's a different. Yeah, that's an interesting one there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm sure there's always going to be something like that. Like,
Yeah. But that was a cool race, man. That 600. We can't wait to go back. We're going back in. We leave here in September, and we're doing a couple other shows over there. But I can't wait to get back there. It's not only endurance race that I love, but it's just got heaps of elements to it. It's a great family, and look, the story behind it. The way we got that ride was just purely through my wife, and she has the Mint Pig Racing site, which gets a lot of attention, and it just so happened that this guy in America, he sort of seen that we were car number 75 and he's number 75.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And he sort of loved what we do, and he's seen the commitment and wanted to sort of put something together, So
it's the power of social media.
It's very powerful.
Yeah.
What that connection was. It's scary when you're sort of trying to put that deal together because we didn't know if it was going to work until we got there and actually met the fella and and went through the whole motions and then after we turned a few laps, he was like, "Oh, okay,
It probably doesn't happen like too much now, but some of the older guys I know that like back in the day of, trying to organise a drive in America, they've done the old, ringing landlines and sending legitimate letters, not email, but like actual letters back and forth and shit. And they get to Indiana and they see the car and they're like, mate, I ain't jumping in that. Like, you're dreaming. But, I suppose that's probably a little bit harder in social media now. And, you can actually send photos back and forth of, cars and that sort of stuff. So, yeah, I get what you're saying, though. It's like, maybe not now the bigger worry is, like, are you going to connect with the owner or, the crew chief or anything like that? Like, you sort of know the car that you stepped into.
Yeah.
Like,
and
now.
It was that was handy. We did do some toing and froing. It was more just sort of working out who's who, like he was sussing me out, I was sussing him out a little bit, but I think that was the best part about it. It was sort of like a bit of a thrown together deal. It was very much a handshake deal. There wasn't anything sort of serious about it. And it just worked. I'm just so lucky to be able to do that. I think it was just fantastic. I'm still pinching myself how it all worked out. 2.5 weeks in Texas, and I'm racing some dude's car, and it was just amazing.
So what is the car?
So it's a limited modified, which is like an AM car.
Yep.
On steroids, pretty much. Yeah.
Yep. So what mode is that?
350 Chev.
Yep.
So we've got like it's a very standard sort of setup, as in reliable.
Yep.
So it's just got your 3-speed Saginaw gearbox with a Chev. It's a work Chev. It's not just a standard Chev, but not too over the top. And then your 9-inch diff and standard sort of Hoosier tyres with beadlock rims. Like, it's nothing too serious. Once again, it's got to make that.
Yeah.
It's 300 laps on the Friday night, 300 laps on the Saturday night. It's got to get through them. So it can't be too sort of fancy or lightweight, or it needs to be able to hang in there.
Yeah. And what sort of other cars are you racing? Because, like, from what I haven't seen heaps on it, I've seen a bit. There's all sorts of stuff on track.
There's a lot of wild designs. And that's what's awesome about it too. Like there's just there's a lot of like street stocks, limited modifieds, Amcar sort of type deals. But then there's some wild and wonderful creations, sort of like the Pig, like there's like a bus that gets around. So there's like a late model chassis that's got a bus body planned on top of it. There's a Volkswagen Beetle. There's just there's a taxi, like the old school 57 Chev taxi sort of thing. Oh man, there's all sorts of wild creations. But there's what's cool about the races too. Like it's so broad, as in there's a lot of guys that are there to win. There's a lot of good equipment. Then there's a broad spectrum of guys that or guys and girls that just love competing. Just want to be there. Then there's another level of people that just literally just go there to have a bit of fun, and if they turn a couple of laps, so be it. Like I think there was one guy last year that was just driving around. I think I might have lapped him. I might have done 3 laps to his 1. And he's got an open face helmet and he's just smoking a ciggy. He's having a ball. He's just running around the pole line. And he pretty much told everyone, hey, this is what I'm doing. Yeah. So just get around me, and it was cool.
And like, if that's his fun, you can't really, I don't know, can't tell him no or something, can you? Yeah, that's classic, open face and having a ciggy.
But then there's a heap of dudes that are fighting for spots, and we're watching each other's times on race monitor, and we're serious about it, it's just that's what I love about it.
So it's not really like a Buckeye Challenge kind of deal, is it? Like,
not
there's
really,
no sprint cars or anything like that.
No. Well, once again, they've got that weight rule.
Yeah.
So like, even if you do bring, it can't be an open wheel car.
Okay.
That's one of the rules as well.
Yeah.
But you can have like a late model, but can't be too fancy because you've got to add all that weight in to make the weight rule. So there's a lot of creations, but it's the event too. Like the event's crazy. Guys come from all over America and the world to compete in it, and they camp there for 3 or 4 days, and it's a big family. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, right. And so going back this year, and you obviously made the relationship. So how many times did this be your second?
This is my second time. Yeah.
So the relationships there now is a lot easier to say, I want to come back, or like, do you ask you to come back, or?
Yeah. So that was it was, I guess, one of those situations at the start of the event. like I said, I'm sussing him out to see whether he's got good equipment, and he's sussing me out to see if I could drive, and pretty quickly we both sort of realised that we're on the same level. I could do what I wanted to do, and he could produce a vehicle. We just had some bad luck in a few areas, but he's in the same mindset as me. We both want to win. I think I've got
Do you
the
both
skill.
love a laugh as well?
Oh yeah, we got a little bit serious after night one, but mostly laughs, yeah, for sure. And the crew's awesome, he's got a good bunch of guys around him. His old man is a legend, and another guy, Big Sexy. We call him Big Sexy. His name's Brandon, but that's one thing over there. I nicknamed the whole team, so that was a little bit different. They don't have nicknames, so I got right into that and make sure that Wally was Wallaby, and Brandon became Big Sexy, and we had all sorts of good stuff going on.
Yeah, right. So so the relationship's there. So back for a second crack at it, I suppose.
Second crack, definitely. And I hope the event keeps going. There's word that Devil's Bolt Speedway will be sold, and we're not sure. It could be another speedway that gets shut down over the next couple of years. The value of the properties is pretty high, so it's right next to an airport.
Right.
It's just a real unique place in Mesquite. So, the value of the property, it might get moved along, something like that. But it needs to be at a track like that because, you've got 160 cars that start on the track at once. So it's a strange, it's one of the coolest things about it. Like there's no qualifying. So the way where you start on the track is when you entered the race. So, for instance, if the entries opened up on March 30th at 10 o'clock in the morning, the first person to enter starts at the front row.
Oh, shit.
And then it goes back. So if you were to enter now, you'd probably be 150th. You'd go back straight, right? So that's how it works. So there's no qualifying. You're just straight into it. So you don't know who you start next to. 160 cars on the track. So I was lucky enough to start on the front row last year. Only because I was awarded that, because I was the most travelled to be in the event, so they gave me the front row. So, which was pretty nerve-wracking. I didn't want to stall the bloody car, in the first corner. But you start entering turn one, and by the time you get to turn three, you're on the back of the field. So it's pretty fun.
Yeah, right. So it's serious racing, but there's obviously a sort of a fun time element to it as well.
Well, it's 25 grand to win.
Yeah, right. Oh, so it is serious.
There's a very serious element to it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. When it starts, it's on. And throughout the night, it's definitely on. You sort of know where you are in the pack. You know who the front runners are, and I've done all the homework before I went there, but just made sure that we're on pace with the quick guys, and if we weren't, why aren't we? So look, I think that's what's going to be better about this year. We've sort of got a little bit more education on the race, I guess, and I was a little bit worried that I was going to get bored. I thought, 300 laps, what am I going to get bored or tired or what's going to happen, and I really enjoyed it. I loved every minute of it. It was hard. I think I had 60 tear-offs on, and I used every single one of them. The race has got everything. It starts off in the sloppiest crap that you've ever been on for 100 laps, and then it turns into fast as, hammer down, don't lift for another 100.
Yeah, right.
And then it goes to slick as, for the next 70. And then the last 30 laps, it's rubber down. So you're just trying to keep the tyres under you, So it's just it's a great event.
So how long are we talking here, to run the 300 laps?
It's about 3.5 hours.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So pit stops for fuel and stuff?
You can pit whenever you want.
Yep.
They have a mandatory stop halfway through at an hour and a half, or 150 laps, sorry, which is just on the track. You've got to stop on the track and your crew can come out, so it's like an open red.
Yep.
And then the way they run it is when there's a crash, they just call a red. So you've got to stop where you are until they clear the track. And then they give you about 15 seconds. They'll tell you when they're going to go green. They give you about 15 seconds to start your car and get ready. And then you're off again.
Yeah.
So it's awesome. But you're allowed to have, It's pretty fun, as in you're allowed to have another helmet next to you. You're allowed to have, well, sorry, I was on this side, but you're allowed to have, you're allowed to have lollies, water.
Yeah.
It's got to be contained in a little compartment. But so on the Reds could go for 20 minutes. So
Yeah.
on my other helmet, I had another 30 tear-offs. So once I'd finished all my tear-offs on my first helmet, I swapped that over under a Red. You can sort of see what sort of Red you're up against.
Yeah.
Up against, you might see 3 or 4 cars crashed up ahead of you, and you think, well, this is going to be 20 minutes. So you sort of got time to do something.
Yeah, because I was going to ask, for that kind of laps, have you got like a, like a supercar spec drink bottle or something like that going? Like,
similar sort of stuff, So just a Camelback, got some water into you. So but you're always entertained. There's always something going on. There's always someone spinning in front of you, or a little crash up ahead, or there could be Wally's in one ear saying, "Hey, there's a bumper bar in the middle of turn 2. Go high," and then he'll tell you when it's cleared. Or he'll say, one of the other guys, maybe it's Billy Miserable, or he might say he's running the low line through 1 and 2, maybe take another line, or he might encourage me, like at some parts of the race I was picking the rubber really perfectly, and he'd go, keep going that line, that's a perfect line. Just stick on that rubber, I can see it from here. So he's up in the tower looking down, he can obviously see the rubber as well as I could.
Yeah, right. So prior to going over there and driving that, you didn't drive anything AMCAR sort of style here beforehand? No. So that's the first. So you've done sedan and sprint car. That's it.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Pretty much. Or
street stocks, but yes, sedans. Yeah. So that's it.
Yeah. So was it like sort of, what's the handling sort of like compared to what you've been in prior?
I was so lucky because this thing was just mint out of the box.
Yeah.
We didn't change a thing. It was perfect for me. We spent a lot of time scaling and going over spacings of the car to start with, but Wally and his crew race it Devil's Bowl all the time. They sort of knew what gearing to run and stuff like that, and I pretty much put a bit of sticky tape over the gauges and went for it. That's about it.
Oh, that's what a car owner wants to hear.
Just kept into it.
Yeah. So we were saying before off air, like you never intended to be a sprint car racer. It wasn't something on your radar. Like you didn't grow up going, that's what I want to do. Like you were very much a sedan person.
Yep.
But now you find yourself in one.
Yeah, we can blame my wife for that again. She, look, I mean, I always, saw them in a magazine, and when I was younger, and I seen them on the road, and I thought they were pretty cool at the track. I just never really had any ambitions to race one. I don't know whether it was just my thought process of whether I'd be able to ever afford it, or just it just wasn't my thing. Definitely loved hanging around sedans when I was growing up, watching Mick Nicola and Peter Logue and some other street stock guys, Daniel Barton and some of my heroes when I was younger, looking up to them, thinking that's how I wanted to be. My wife bought me an extreme sprint car drive, didn't she? And she thought for Father's Day, and she thought it'd be a great idea to take David out to the Avalon Speedway, and he gets his 2 12-lap sessions in a 410 sprint car. Little did she know that I'd grow a little bit of addiction there to that motor car and want to get one myself one day. And instantly, I just thought this is the coolest thing I've ever been in. Just the smell and the power and just the positioning of the whole thing. I just wanted to be in one, and so from that day on, I said, when the kids are finished school, I'm getting one of these, and that's what I did.
Yeah, right. So there's a few years between that and actually doing it, sort of thing?
Yeah. So there was a couple of years. Not many. I think there was 2. I might have been a little bit premature in getting it before the kids finished school, but that's all right. But just, it's just, just very lucky to be in the position to know a lot of people. By the time I started to get around the class and get to know who's who, and realise there's a lot of people in my backyard that gave me a bit of a hand to get started. And and just lucky enough to be in a business where I could afford to, control my own income and work hard to work towards getting some spares and getting some spare engines and good motors. And but I'm very lucky on the other hand to have the backing of some great supporters that love it as well, and come along, give us a hand and share their passion with us.
Yeah. So you put the first car together. You go to for a practice session, or did you go straight into a meeting?
Did I go for a practice? Yes, I did. I did go for a practice at Avalon. Yep. Went for one practice and then straight into it. Had a 360 to begin with, and I did about 3 or 4 meetings in the 360, and I thought, I think I want to go to that 410. I'm not. Now looking at it, I don't have any. I like both the classes, but at the time, just wanted to go straight to 410s, and so the first 2 years was 410s.
Yeah. So you pretty up and down, or you're pretty honest about your racing.
Yeah.
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 So you've kind of got to be, don't you?
Yeah, you do have to be. I mean, to yourself and to the people that support you. Like my number one fan is probably Renee, my wife. She's there all the time, and she tells me to get going when I've got to get going. There's no worries about that. But look, I turn up to win every week. I really want to win, and sometimes it's just like maybe you shouldn't turn up to some of those prestige events because you're probably not going to get anywhere near the feature race, let alone win. But that's my passion, and I believe in myself, and I'll put myself in that position, and I'll keep doing that until I do get a win. Up to me which way I'll go, in the future. But for me at the moment, based on our last couple of years, look, the first year this is our 4th season. So coming into our 5th season now. We've just finished our 4th season. So if I had to sort of separate the years that we've done it, the first year was very much, wow, you're racing a sprint car, and everyone's sort of around you, and you've got a lot of help, and we picked it up pretty quickly. We had some pace pretty quickly. And then the second year is, second and third year is probably working out logistically how to do it. So, making sure you've got spares, making sure everything's the same, making sure that you can compete all year at that level,
Yeah.
Probably in our last year, I really started to realise that I'm in my 40s and I need to look at my fitness and my health and try and be strong. Because when you crash, you bloody crash. You're tearing stuff up, and your body's getting flung from pillar to post. So just working out that you need to be strong and fit to be able to get through those 30 lappers. Especially if the track's really hammered down and big holes and the elbows up, and you're really competing with someone. You really need to be able to hang on those last 10 laps of the feature race. And so the last year was definitely finding out that. And then we started to get a bit of pace, so we're starting to crash a bit. So you're in the mix, and you're probably doing some stuff that your talent isn't quite there yet. But I'm really excited for next year. I hope that we've still got a really good crew around us. We've got some really good supporters, and I'm really looking forward to this season. I'm hoping that we're going to get some good success, and I really want that win, whether it's in 360 or 410s. I think the competition is very similar. You turn up each week, and in those in any series that you're running, there's good dudes and girls that you're racing against, and you really got to be on your best game every time you rock up.
Yeah. So have you got a schedule together, or you just sort of?
Yep, we've just put a small schedule together the last couple of weeks. We're going to hang pretty much local this year. Last couple of years, we've targeted a few prestigious events, and getting back to being honest about my racing, I feel like sometimes I put myself in those positions and in the prestigious events, and if you don't go too well, it can really knock your confidence about, and it might take you 2 or 3 weeks to bounce back from that, So this year we're going to really concentrate on the local tracks and just stick to them, perfect them a little bit, and just maybe stick to the tracks that we've been going okay at, that we're confident at, and also close to the team, so not drag the team too far away from their family,
Yeah.
and not drag Renee too far away from from her life as well. But just try and stick local, and I really want to search for that win.
Yeah. So, speaking of logistics, I think you have the coolest truck in Australian Speedway.
Wow, thanks. That's been a blast having that, and that's just something with fluke. That
Yeah.
wasn't planned or anything.
If anyone hasn't seen it, make sure you look at Donna's Facebook page and his socials and stuff, because so it's a legitimate New York fire truck.
Yeah. So, oh man, I'm super lucky to jump on the internet one afternoon searching for a dual cab truck that I could take everyone with me, go racing, you know. And I looked at this thing and I thought, wow, that's different, you know. And it was from Queensland Fire and Rescue, and it's an ex-pumper that they sort of had at the airport, and they were getting rid of it, you know. And you know, look, it's one of those things that's different. So some people didn't really like it, you know. They're like, wow, we don't want to work on that, you know, because it's different. And I thought, man, that's got some character. I'm having that, and yeah. That was at the start of COVID, so it was in Queensland, so it was very hard to get back again.
Yeah.
But we got it back, and that was a cool COVID project. It's for me and my dad once again, you know, just rip into it and paint it and pull the body off and make it into a transporter. It's been good fun.
So it was red beforehand?
It was red.
Yeah.
With all the lights on it, the big tanks on the back and all that sort of stuff. And we just tinkered, and my old man put his touch on it like he does, and we did it together, and that's what I love about it too. Like, we do a lot of stuff together.
Yeah, because I'd never seen it before till Fan Appreciation Day.
Yep.
And then, yeah, obviously seeing you on like social media and stuff, and then seeing your hauler backing out, and then the truck like came out from the other two haulers, and I was like, "Whoa, what's going on here?" I was like, "Look at this thing!" Like, it just looks so, and like everyone stopped and just like watched it roll past. Like it's
it's good fun, man.
Yeah.
That's that's us. We just like something different. We just never really go with the norm. I think you know, a lot of people ask us about our chassis choice. You know, like, why did we go with the Beretta? And that's probably just something that we just don't follow the leader. We just do whatever we're doing, and yeah.
I think it all comes back to you being a character. It's like, yeah, all right. It's just like, yeah, and it comes back to that thing that we're so lucky in Speedway to have guys like you that do have that sort of character.
And I consider myself lucky to be doing this. I really do. You know, it's a banger of a sport, and there's good dudes and girls everywhere in the sport, and we like having a bit of fun. You know, like just playing around a little bit and filling our day in.
Yeah. So the Beretta chassis was, you know, you obviously you striked a bit of a relationship there with them.
Yeah, definitely. Brett's a ripper, and Nick, and I fluked it. You know, once again, just the right place at the right time. Just having a yak to him about. I was probably sooking about COVID a little bit, and you know, how I wanted to get a new chassis, but I didn't really want anything from overseas. I just wanted something Australian made, and you know, there's only a handful of guys that make them here, you know, and he ended up sort of saying to me, you know, hey man, what if I built your chassis, you know, and I didn't really know him at the time. I knew he did shockers, and I knew he did torsion bar testing. I just didn't know. From then on, I didn't know who he was, you know. I just knew he was Beretta something, and literally, I just thought, oh well, I'll get back to you on that, you know what I mean? Like, anyway, drove away, and I thought, who's this guy, you know? So I got on Google. I literally drove 10 minutes up the road, and I pulled over in my ute and just Googled Brett Lacey and started to look at his history and what he'd done, and I thought, man, this is me. I've got to do this, you know. This is great. Anyway, so bugged me down. I went back there a couple of weeks later, and I said, we're going to do this, you know, and I think this is great, you know. So he was really, really good to work with. He's a very helpful fellow. He's another great guy in Speedway. There's plenty of them, but you know, he was one that sort of said, hey, I'll build your car, and it was built around me, you know. So you know, my legs are bloody long, and my elbows stick out, and he just built everything around me, and I learned heaps about steel and how it gets welded and the sequence of welding and why it's done like that, and different theories around where bars should be and why they shouldn't be in there, and different thicknesses. And I really enjoyed that. Just going through the science of building a race car. It was, let alone I wanted something that was going to perform, but he explained to me along the way, what this chassis was going to do, and then to be able to go and race it, and then feel what he's talking about.
Yeah. Everything starts to click, sort of.
Yeah, and learn all that, and I really do believe, if you put one of the superstars in the sport in the Beretta chassis, that it'll go fine. It's probably me holding the back a little bit at the moment, but we're getting a handle on it, and I'm looking forward to just keep racing the Beretta, and they're strong, safe, and that's what we wanted.
Yeah. So this one here, brand new car.
Yep.
Yeah. So is this for next season?
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Because people won't be able to see, but there's one there, and is there another one?
Yeah, we have 3.
There's 3. Yeah, I thought there was 3. So this is ready to go for next season.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. This one's ready to go.
So this is unraced.
That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
We were forced to put this one together. Went to the Expo, Speedway Australia Expo, and quickly threw this one together.
Yep. Yeah. So probably the other thing that people should look on your social media too is what you did for one of your sponsors.
Oh yeah. This guy here, Raleigh Towing. Yeah, we love Mick. He's a ripper guy. Look, I mean, our supporters are fantastic. We have a great bunch of supporters. Out of Eastern Steel or Roller Tarps, Carl Horn, he's a ripper. Mint Build, Tim, he's put lots of time and investment into our program, and Roller Constructions, and we have a great bunch of people that are around us. Crispy on our team as our crew chief, and Ricky now is a young guy that's going to give us a hand this year. But Mick's just a ripper guy. He loves Speedway. He loves the Beretta. He's got a lot of background history with the Beretta, and that's sort of why we did that half cut car for him, mainly because he chose that Beretta throwback scheme last year, and we won the challenge. So it was really rewarding for him, and Brett liked it as well, and it was just a good time for everyone. And I thought, well, you know what, he's got to have a piece of history here, and one thing led to another, and we cut one of our old chassis up, and made a wall hang.
Yeah. So did he know anything? So you just rocked up there with that half a car and said, yeah, right.
So it was sort of good timing. He had a bit of an open day at his factory for his dad. They got a big towing company, and they got a heap of old towing rigs there, and had a bit of a day where they invited heaps of other towing companies from around Melbourne that they've dealt with over the last 50 years. And they had a few things on display, including the Beretta, and I thought, that was coming up, and he asked me if we could have the car on display. And I said, when is this event? And he goes, oh, it's in 2 weeks. Oh, yeah, no worries. And then I thought, I've got to get this done, and hang it up on his wall. So, yeah, we hung it up on his factory wall the day before his open day, so it's good.
Yeah, so he's totally surprised by it.
Yeah. And look, it's a credit to him, though. Like, we should give back to people like that more,
Yeah.
He's got a massive passion for the sport. He helps out a lot of teams. I'm very lucky to be one of them, but he helps out a lot of teams, and he's just a great guy to have around, though. Like, if you need a hand and he's in the crowd and he sees you crash, he's down there giving you a hand. He's just a legend.
Yeah, you got to look after your sponsors, eh? Like, Jamie Cobby was telling me he still rings, so he doesn't race, but he still rings his sponsors.
Yeah.
And sponsors that he's had like 30 years ago, he still rings them.
Yeah.
Like, still has those connections. Like, you never know what might be needed, or you know, anything like that. So yeah, it's just sort of not hard. So
we're super lucky to have the bunch of people we have around us, and I mean the Texas deal was great as well. We were able to rustle up a bit of coin through that, which we helped Wally out with. So it all went to the team in America, and just to give Wally some coin to keep his car going, because we thrashed the crap out of that thing, and and I felt pretty bad in the end, but I had a lot of broken bits, but he was able to sort of rustle up a bit of cash to give to him, and we really appreciated it, and all those guys appreciated the people that were on the car in Texas. It was a good deal.
Yeah. So your social media, like we've touched on already, but it's not really hard to do as such, is it? Like with what you do with your social media, like all of your posts and stuff like that. You know, like doing a little bit of artwork and all that sort of stuff. Like it's not that sort of hard to do in some way, is it? Are you doing that, or is Renee doing that?
Renee is doing that.
Yeah, so she's team boss. Yeah.
She's the team boss.
Yeah. So
she's well, I wear the pants, but she tells me which one's the weak.
So, do you trip out when you see like guys aren't doing social media stuff?
Oh no, it's each to your own. Like it's just look, I like doing it. I really enjoy doing it. Renee definitely pushed me into that area, to step out of my comfort zone a little bit and do that sort of stuff. But I understand why, especially now. You know, like you see fans come and get a signature or want to buy a beanie or a hoodie or a t-shirt, and you understand why. You know, and you sort of give them back to them a little bit, and you sort of owe it to them, you know what I mean? They're coming to watch you, and they're supporting you, and you sort of want to give back. You want to do it to give back to them, but I understand why some people don't. It's just who you are, and you don't have to do it. We choose to do it. We choose to have a bit of fun about it, and yeah, I won't judge anyone for not doing it. It's you know, I'm sure in their own little way that they give back to the sport somehow.
Yeah. So speaking of the hoodie, do you have a pretty extensive merch range?
That's Renee's fault once again.
It's like you've got a lot of gear. It's pretty like. Has anyone else? No one else has done the hoodies, surely.
I'm not sure, but it amazes me all the time. What I seen a young kid at the racetrack the other day, and he had a bucket hat, and I didn't even know he sold them. They look pretty cool.
Yeah, right. That's how actually my missus come to buy this hat, and then I end up I took it. So that's how I ended up first meeting you, was at the Classic, and yeah, I mean, don't necessarily remember that night, but anyway. No. So.
Well, that's sort of like, I mean, that's where the 2 for 30 deal came from. You know, that was from one of the Classic weekends, and some ideas we come up with, we don't know where from, but that was from the Classic. I had a heap of stubby holders left over one day, and I thought, I've got to sell these. I was at the Classic, at the end of the Classic, and yeah, as you know, there's a pretty big party at the end of the Classic, and I decided that I'd wrecked a bit of stuff and I needed to make some coins, so I was selling these stubby holders for 2 for 30, man.
And it works.
Sometimes.
And you were saying that people actually come to you with $30.
They do, and I'm not like that. I still give them the $10 change.
Yeah. So, do you want to claim fame to something else that we spoke about earlier in the car when you're in Kansas, or not? Do you not want?
You'll have to remind me.
Someone else who races a sprint car in America, it's something they do now.
Keep going.
Involving one of these and a shoe.
The J-Mac. Yeah.
I didn't know that you had anything to do with that.
Maybe. Yeah. That was.
You don't want to tell the story?
Well. You know what, James?
You might not thank you for it.
Maybe not. But it's once again just a fun thing. We were in Texas and we went to watch James, and he was awesome, man. He let us into his trailer and let us hang out with him for 2 days. So I-80 Speedway and then Kansas City, and he won in Kansas City. Well, it just so happened that we were at the track and there was a bit of a delay. I think someone might have got hurt in the crowd or something, and we're just in the trailer, just chewing the fat and talking shit about sprint cars and racing and whatever else. And we just got on the subject about racing for other people and the pressure, behind that. And he sort of started to say that he was sort of used to it, And anyway, so that sort of conversation ended, and the racing started again that night. And Renee and I went off into the crowd, and we're at the concession stand and getting the beer, and I thought, what if you do a shoey if he wins? So I grabbed a couple of beers and walked back down to the pits. And in the pits, you're allowed to carry beer in there, it's awesome. Yeah. So anyway, I walked back down there and I walked back into the trailer and I sat the beer down on his helmet stand. And I just said, hey, man, if you win tonight, you can do a shoey. And he goes, yeah, all right. Anyway, so, you're always hoping to win, but, you never know what's going to happen. And all of a sudden, the racing started, and we sort of, I think he got third or fourth quick overall, and come second in his heat, and then maybe third in the dash. And then in the final, he was running just a different line to everyone else, come to 3 and 4, and it was really working. Hit the lead about lap 15, and we're starting to get a little bit excited, and I totally forgot about the shoey thing, but, he won, and we're cheering, and it was all happy days, and we're in the crowd, because it was a better spot to look for, to watch the race from. And Renee nudges me, she says, hey, you got to go and get the beer. And I went, oh, crap. Okay, yeah, right. So I run down the pits, got the beer out of the trailer, and then run back onto the track, and he was halfway through his interview, and I quickly snuck him the beer, and he did a shoe, yeah, it's good. Good on him, man. I think it's great, he should continue that.
I think he has. He's done it a few times since.
I hope I can do one.
I think the only one, the other night he did one with I think he did it with a NOS energy drink, which, yeah, I don't know.
Good on him, man. I'm super proud of him. He's a ripper guy. His family's awesome, and yeah, it's good.
Yeah. Did you have like a little bit of sense of like Aussie pride that night, sort of thing? Like,
oh, definitely. Yeah, for sure. Especially when Chase Rodman, he's like, "What the hell just happened there?"
Yeah. Good. I get it watching him race over there because I remember him being like 17, 18, ripping around Speedway City, and like I think we were about the same age too. So like I was still am 100% jealous of him. I'm like, look at this dude, he's my age ripping around in the sprint car, and now to see what he's doing on like World of Outlaws tour, you're just like, man, it's so good that
And he's a ripper guy for the sport too. I'm really excited to see what he's going to do for the rest of his career. He's obviously got a lot more to give on the track, but after that, he's so helpful with other drivers. He'll if you're going to ask him a question about anything, he'll tell you. He'll help you. He'll want you to go better, and he's that sort of guy. His dad's the same. The whole family, just want you to go better. It's a cracking deal, and I'm the same. I watch him most Saturdays, and and today he went from 25th to 9th or something in the feature race, and you're just like, man, that's incredible.
Yeah. Especially like, well, he's probably the only Aussie that's full time on it at the moment.
Yeah.
There's obviously a bunch that are over there, but probably our sort of biggest expat at the moment, and
for a prestigious team, it's one of the longest running outlaw teams, and what better one to be in? He was racing for the Casey Kane deal, and that was obviously good, but just to have under the Roth Motorsport team, it's amazing. It's great.
Yeah, and now the whole TRD thing, which I actually love the whole TRD thing. I know you see the stuff on Facebook, and it's just like, man, who cares? There's not a single Chev part in the Chev 410, so it's like, who gives a shit? Like,
we should have a 308 in, but hey, we'll tell him that one day.
And we'll talk about how to 410. Craig Bennett made a 410 there for a while.
Okay.
Yeah, Linesy raced with the one.
Craig Bennett.
Yeah.
Craig Bennett. Well, we've got Craig Bennett heads on our 308.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah. So he built a 410 there for a while. Yeah. I can't remember. I think Linesy might have used it in like Mount Gambier or something like that. Like it was all kept very like under the radar and all that sort of stuff too. I might be wrong on that, so someone might correct me on that. But yeah, I'm pretty certain that So he's another guy, Craig Bennett. You just go up and talk to him for hours on end. He's never going to turn his nose up at you. He's just like, just one of the great guys of the sport. Like, we're just sort of surrounded by those kinds of people. So
yeah, man, that's what I mean. The sport is, and like when you go to America, it's the same. The same family. They love the same stuff. They're into it.
Yeah,
probably a little bit more than what we are, but they're a bit more passionate. But it's look, hopefully we can grow it a little bit more. That's for the expo that we just had. Hopefully that grows a little bit more, and the sport can grow, and just and get more bums on seats at the track.
Yeah, for me, I'd love to see more people know sort of guys like you in the sport, like this larrikin, still ultra professional in what you do, and you're hard as racer, but at the end of the night they can come have a beer with you, you're never going to have that opportunity in vet supercars or anything like that. So it's like that's where I'd like to see more people sort of.
It's got so much potential, just I don't understand why more corporate bodies don't enter the sport. I remember doing a practice day with Cam Waters, and there was a couple of guys there from the Monster Energy backing, another fella there, and he couldn't believe the smell and the sound, and he could watch the whole race from one spot.
Yeah.
for four corners, and just he couldn't believe it, and he was there in his Mercedes and his all fancy outfit, and he just loved it, So more people like that would be awesome, to get to the track. And how do you do it? I think it's moving that way, like especially for guys like yourself, they're doing podcasts, the Dirt Vision, Flow Racing of the world, that's just gonna just get it going. And we've got obviously Clay Per View here, Ash Media, that join together, and things like that. That's what's going to grow the sport. I think some people are a little bit biased on, you're not going to get people to the track, but I believe that's just the next level. You look at football, footy in Australia is huge, and you're going to get 100,000 people to a game, and then you're also going to get millions of people watching it on TV.
Yeah.
So I think people that want to go will still go, and that's another reason why we do it too. The social media thing, to grow the sport and have a bit of fun with it. Keep the kids involved. Get them coming to the track as well. And because they won't watch the TV. They've got to be at the track. These young kids, they've got to see there. They've got to cheer for a team. They've got to smell it. They've got to put their earmuffs on and go and play in the playground for a little bit, and then go and meet the driver later on, and hopefully the mum and dad buy them a T-shirt or they get a sticker or something. And get that experience going.
Yeah. Have you noticed a shift in like what Dirt Vision and Flow are doing with their YouTube? How they're all doing like the race, like features races now. They're like up instantly. They're not mucking around. No.
Whoever's behind the scenes there is kicking ass.
Yeah, they haven't done it for years, and I was always under the assumption of like they don't want to show it because they want you to subscribe to the channel to like pay for their streaming service. And now it's like, man, within an hour of any feature finishing, there's either a full highlight clip up or the full race is up on YouTube.
Yeah.
And it's like, in my mind, it's like people start watching them, and then now they might buy the subscription to the streaming service. It's like they sort of seem to have a change in tact on that.
Maybe it definitely works. If it's anything like me, I've got to watch it live.
Yeah.
I have to. And look, during the day here, I've got three things going. I've got my phone, I've got my laptop, and I've got my TV, and I'm watching, Wally race his car at Devil's Bowl, and I'm watching, James do his thing, and then recently Todd Hobson, I'm trying to, and Troy Carey and my mate Travis Miller just rocked up there today, so that I'll be watching flat out, but so it's great though, isn't it? You've got that live feed right there, and some of your friends, people you've got a connection.
You always see this stuff on Facebook about the streaming stuff keeps people away from the track, but I don't really see that. If that was the case, AFL, NFL, all that stuff wouldn't be televised. Like,
if you put it in another sort of scenario, with the family that we've grown to know through the Texas deal, there's probably 20 or 30 people that we've connected with there, and then it just so happened that the 100 lapper just gone in the Pig was live streamed, through Clay Per View, and we almost had 10 to 15 American people watching that race, and learning about the Australian racing. Yeah. So in that scenario, how great is that for the sport that Americans are watching, what we do during the day, and look, there, I know there's a time difference and they struggle a little bit with that, but if they want to do it, they will, they'll watch it. And I think that was fantastic, just like a lot of Americans watch the Classic, and you see them comment on the live stream, and they're there, and a lot of sprint car racing, obviously, but I think it's just awesome that it's going down to the lower levels now of speedway racing. Yeah. Different divisions, and people are seeing that worldwide. What better way to grow the sport?
Yeah. So what's your ultimate racing goal? Do you want to? Is there, obviously the 100 lap is something you want to tick off, but is there do you want to run a World of Outlaw show, or is there anything like that you want to get to, or?
I definitely
just the 100 lapper.
I think just definitely the 100 lapper. It's definitely it's eating me, but we're so close. I won't give up on that. Definitely won't give up on that. And once I've won one, and I will win one. Hopefully, I'll win a few more. But definitely to tick that one off. I would love to. Definitely want to win a race and multiple races in a sprint car for sure. I'd love to win a series of some description, so I'm pretty committed to that over the next few years. So hopefully we can nail one of them. But one thing at a time. Hopefully get just at least one feature win under the belt before I get too old. But there's that. But definitely just keep doing what we're doing. Just keep growing the sport, and then when I do finish racing, give back to the sport. Maybe become part of the club and one of the local tracks here, probably Alexandria, and just try and give back to the sport in a little way there, and maybe sponsor a team or something like that later on, and do what other people have done for me, but I want to be involved forever. And both of my boys don't want to race cars, but I'm hoping my grandkids do, and they'll have bloody fast race cars.
You might go down the road of car ownership. All right, Donis, you're an absolute legend, eh? Thanks for your hospitality, man. Much appreciated. So everyone, check out Donna's social media. It's an absolute crack up.
Thanks,
All right. Cheers, man. Thank you very much.
Good work, brother.